Yes, criminals use Bitcoin. Next on your 4-Minute Crypto Daily News. Now today's show is from a post by Rick D at NewsBTC and brought to you by BitBlockBoom. Take a look at this great Bitcoin conference coming to Dallas, Texas at bitblockboom.com. I hope I get to see you in Dallas, Texas. Now, in the 10 years of Bitcoin's existence, much has been made about its supposedly utility for criminals by the mainstream media. However, given that criminal acts are estimated to account for less than 1% of all transactions occurring on the Bitcoin network, such headlines seem entirely unjustified. Yes, Bitcoin has been used for criminal activities, but so has just about every technological advancement ever, including cash. Now, its 10 years existence, Bitcoin has had a fair amount of dirt thrown at it from the mainstream media. Now, this is reasonably understandable since its first major use case was the buying and selling of drugs on early dark web marketplaces such as the Silk Road. However, since then, a lot has happened. Bitcoin has moved out of the shadows and towards the mainstream in a way only a few thought possible, as huge names such as the Intercontinental Exchange and Fidelity have made it clear over the past couple years, Bitcoin is on the verge of becoming a serious financial asset. Is it not time the mainstream media stopped mentioning it in criminal cases where it was used only to facilitate the transfer of value? Now, the latest example of a mainstream media publication unnecessarily naming Bitcoin in connection to a crime comes from the UK's Daily Mail. The newspaper reported on the case of a nurse from California who'd used the dark web to sell controlled substances in exchange for Bitcoin. Now, the only thing that could be considered interesting about the story is the volume of narcotics the woman had sold and the fact that she worked for the medical profession herself. The method of payment is entirely irrelevant to what went on. If anything, Bitcoin's use in the crimes committed shows how useful it is for cross-border payments, criminal or not, and little more. Other tools used by innocent members of the public and occasionally to commit crimes are not subject to the same sort of coverage. We are not bombarded with headlines such as, "Armed robber used the motor car to escape scene of crime," or "Drunk driver spends dollars in liquor store," or "Fraudster uses iPhone to plan scam." Just like phones, cars, and even cash, the purpose of Bitcoin is not to aid criminals. It is to transfer value quickly and efficiently across borders without an intermediary. Other items, when used criminally, only get mentioned explicitly when they're being used in a way they were not intended. If a man killed someone using a hammer, that will get brought up. Likewise, if someone plows through a car through a sea of people, that's worthy of a mention. Many mainstream media publications seem hell-bent on loading as much sensationalism into a headline as possible. This may account for Bitcoin's explicit mentions. Those working at the Daily Mail probably realize how hard phrases relating to Bitcoin are trending these days and want to scoop as much traffic as possible in light of ever-dwindling readerships. Hopefully, as Bitcoin continues to evolve and become more accepted, we can leave such stories in the past as the digital assets becomes a more common part of daily life. Do you agree that the news services are just mentioning Bitcoin for hits or views? Let me know your thoughts on Twitter, where I am at Gary Leland. And don't forget to subscribe to the 4-Minute Crypto Show for a new episode every weekday. This is a CryptoCousins.com production.